Welcome back to Newsmaker Live. We're here with Michael Chastanet, one of the most prominent businessmen on the island, if not the most prominent businessman on the island. It has been such a thrill to speak with him and to just get his insight into different aspects of life on the island, business, politics. And I want to go a little into politics. You know, we talked about the economy somewhat.
Yes.
And probably we can touch on it a little later in the program. Just want to let you know that we'll be taking your calls very shortly, so we'll put the number up on the screen so that you can see it and you can call, you know, probably in the next 5 minutes or so. We're affected by the global economy. We're part of the global economy.
Correct.
And as you said, we don't have very many resources that we can leverage, you know, so we're in a position where we're dependent. But then politics has a way of making us regress. It shouldn't. But in our society, it just happens to.
Yeah.
And we're pushed farther back because we put so much stock into partisan politics. Now, your son, Alan, he was part of the last administration as tourism minister. He ran the Soufrière seat.
Yes.
And I'm sure, as a father, you would have supported him on that.
Yes.
If he were to have won as a representative, what are the things that you would have liked to see him implement? You mentioned some things that you'd like to see on the island.
Right.
But from his standpoint as a minister.
That's a good question. You know, when Alan went into Soufrière, you know, at Alan's age, I can't tell Alan what to do. He's a big man, okay? But he's still my son, all right? And I'll never forget a couple of days. First of all, when I was friendly with Sir Vincent Flosac, who was my mentor in life, he very, very politically astute. And he always said to me, whoever wins Font Saint-Jacques wins the Soufrière elections. And I told Alan so. A few days before elections, he said, Dad, would you like to come and say a few words at Font Saint-Jacques for me, you know? And I said to Alan, you know, I would love to do that, but really I want to keep myself. I know that many people associate me with your party, but by the same token, I want to sort of remain neutral because, you know, I have very good ties with both sides, and a business person and business people have no right in politics. But then I'm going to talk just en passant and answer the question you just, if in Soufrière, if I had gone out to say to Font Saint-Jacques, here's exactly what I would have said to people of Font Saint-Jacques. I said, let me tell you something. There are two parties, the United Workers' Party and the Labour Party. If I'm speaking for myself or my son, what I would like to see, no matter what happens, we have to work with the Labour Party if you get in and you're not part of the government. And number one, what Alan actually did a lot of good things for Soufrière, because I know some people say he lost the elections, and Soufrière part of the bridge, but I think at the end of the day, it may have been a drastic decision, but it's a good decision, because if you go to Soufrière today and you see the ambience, it's wonderful. We at Caribbean Metals and other organizations put a lot of money into the Soufrière Hospital, which was in bad shape. Now it's really a beautiful place. All it wants is a permanent doctor, okay? What I, Michael Chastanet, would have recommended that he should do, among the many things that he did, he concentrated on the tourism side of Soufrière. Down, a lot of work has been taking place at Jalousie. So there were some bridges to put and so forth. I think I would have called the people up in the Font Saint-Jacques area. I would put down a sort of a good school for about maybe 40 bright students. And you provide the uniforms for them, and because there's some bright people in Soufrière, and you start educating them and have a real top-level school there. And that has been my dream, to do that. Because my sister, who passed away when she was about 50, always said to her family she would like to have a sort of a scholarship in her name, giving a number of scholarships every year to children. Because that, your human resources are your people. That's what makes your country. And that's one of the things I really would have recommended that he would do down in Soufrière. Secondly, he tried, Bofala, to open up the oil factory down there. It ran for a couple months. And recently I met with some people from the UK, and I'm trying to push personally. I met with the Minister of Commerce today, Senator Minister Hippolyte,
Right.
and told her what I have done. But then I learned something when I went to ministry today. What she explained to me is that you need the copra to run it, and you need 100,000 tons of copra a year. We only have 40,000 tons, and for two reasons. One, as we departed from the banana industry, when they were fertilizing the coconuts, the bananas, the coconuts thrived. They produced far more, 30% more than they produce today. Secondly, people make more money selling water nuts.
Right.
Yeah. So you have those two situations. But I really would like to see the oil factory back in action, and that's what I would have done. I actually wrote the people in the UK. I called somebody who had all the connections with the factory. I got the names of the equipment. They were all British made, to ask if they could send out a British guy, an engineer, to reactivate the factory. And I also told them that many years ago, part of it was driven by by hydropower. And I'm getting tomorrow the name of the hydropower, because the gentleman called me today from the UK, and he said to me that if I give him the name of it, the company that does it has been in business for 150 years and be willing to help St. Lucia. I really would like to see it, because you could not produce your coconut oil, you could produce your soap, you could produce all your creams and different things, and it's fantastic. You had the coconut growers in Dominica, run by a good friend of mine, Mr. Nassif, for many, many years, and he would help me tomorrow. He used to go to Cuba and help Castro as a chemical engineer to do all their soaps and different things. And when he got to a certain age, he sold it, and he sold it for over $100 million to Colgate. So, and that's in Little Dominica. And you can get people like that to come in. And you see, even though it doesn't make money in the first couple of years, but it employs 35, 40 people. And you know, it's something that we're producing. Yeah, as an export, you know, it's a tourism project. People see it and that kind of thing, yeah. So. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
And you made a point earlier on about, you know, some St. Lucian scrunting. You must have used it loosely, but then a lot of people have shared that view that things are hard, especially now, and with the addition of the VAT. I know that you said that, you know, VAT is something that we have to accept. It's here. Yeah. You know, we just accept it and adjust our behaviors. But notwithstanding, there's some people, especially those who are less fortunate, people who were struggling before, having 15% of your meager wages being taken away from you from VAT. What is your impression?
Because at the end of the day, Clinton, the problem is, you know, the business people can survive because you can pass it on when you sell the goods. It's the poor guy at the end, you know, the end user. There's all the civil servants, for instance, who have to buy their food. This costs them 15% more. Yeah. And it's tough. It's very, very tough. I mean, I'm telling you, I sit in my office every day, and sometimes I just have to put my hand on my head when I see how these people are suffering, you know. I've told the PM so. Yeah, I told him, you know, that, and you know, he understands that, I mean, he's the Prime Minister of the country. Things have to change, you know. There's only so much the guy can do. But someone has to tell him so, because people are really hurting. They are really, really hurting.
What can the government do to ease the pain on the ordinary St. Lucian?
Boy, Clinton, right now, we have to find more employment. I told the PM that what we need, we need fresh money. We need projects. You need projects. You know, for instance, I don't know what the political implications are with the Honora Airport. You know, they have already collected $10 million US on lockbox. You need to start something like that, okay? You need to do the projects I told you here. You need to do a medical school. Because people have to get to work, because people are getting disillusioned. Yeah. And unless they can, you know, a hungry man is an angry man. Yeah. And you're going to get, the people are going to get deflated, you know, if something is not done about it. Because I can tell you, I mean, look at, for instance, I said, take for instance just the old port station, and down there, you can get about at least 130 vendors working for themselves right away. Let's do that, you know, because every day those people are coming down. It's hard, man, Clinton. It's tough, yeah, you know. I mean, the taxi fares are going up. Everything is going up, you know. It's rough. It's very rough, yeah.
You're watching Newsmaker Live. I'm here with Michael Chastanet. We're taking your calls right now. There's a number on your screen, or it will pop up anytime from now. You can start calling in to make your contribution and also ask him questions. I'm sure that there are some questions that I failed to ask him during the course of our discussion that you'd love to. And I think we have the first call on the line. Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, good night, Clinton, and good night to Mr. Michael Chastanet.
Can you hear?
Yes. We have the high cost of airfares in terms of Leon.
The box.
You hear me?
Okay.
Just 1 second. I don't think he can hear you yet. Let's just make sure we have that.
Yeah, see, it's working.
Yeah.
You want it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, okay. We have the high cost of airfares. And I think every year the numbers from the Caribbean seem to be dwindling in terms of people from the Caribbean coming to St. Lucia. There have been talk of ferry service.
It disappeared, yeah.
And do you see a potential in the ferry service? In fact, people going from St. Lucia to Barbados, to Trinidad and neighboring islands, because the high cost of airfares are preventing a lot of Caribbean people from traveling. And is there potential in a ferry service coming to St. Lucia?
Okay. Thank you for your question.
Yeah. Okay. Let me say something. Being in the shipping business for years, I can tell you for a fact, the ferry business, in my mind, is not going to work. The seas are too unpredictable. Between here and Martinique is fine, but you know what I think has to be done as far as Liat is concerned is that we have to get at least 3 or 4 16-seater planes that can make 2 to 3 trips a day to St. Vincent, Dominica, and to join up in St. Lucia, because that's our problem. We can get to Barbados, but the fares are, as you say, really too high. But in all fairness to everybody, it's the taxes that really cause the fares to be that high. And I personally feel that all the governments should revisit what they're doing now. Those taxes should be drastically reduced, and you know, even though you have to put a 1% sales tax on the island to get the money they're going to lose, but they are losing a lot of business by those high airfares. Yeah, and the ferry business, yeah, honestly, to Martinique is fine, but I don't think it will work. I've had many discussions with people. Some people think it's going to work, and that's why it hasn't got off the ground, because it's not going to work, you know, to be honest with you.
We have another call. Good evening. Thanks for holding. Please go ahead.
Yes, good evening, sir. Yeah, indeed, I've learned a lot in terms of business, and then, you know, looking at the city of Castries area, Shastia has mentioned about, you know, certain areas that you know, can provide employment opportunities for the vendors as well as other people who are really struggling in this country. And, you know, looking at that, you know, it does not require any sort of, you know, rocket scientists to figure out these things, you know, and these are the areas the government is looking to, you know.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, okay.
These are the areas in which the government should look into, you know, in order to, you know, make things more entrepreneurial for our local people. You understand? Providing these, you know.
Right. I read you loud and clear.
Okay.
I read you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Let me say something to you. Just look at what the government just did below Government House. I must congratulate the government on redoing the vendors stand below. Fantastic. I mean, I have to give them 300 marks for what they have done. When the last government was in power, it was in bad shape. I went and I spent $9,000 there personally, and I reboarded the whole thing because I saw what the people can do. Now, just imagine, Clinton, that is just a small area. I would love if tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, the Prime Minister would pick up the phone and say, Mr. Chastanet, I want to let you head something. I'm going to tear down that old fire station, pave it, organize a nice looking shed until we're ready to do our work, and we can put 50, 60 vendors there right away. I would support him 500%. Then that whole shed, as I told you, west of the customs. Please, Mr. Chastanet, get a team of people, come in, paint it up nicely, put about 30 to 40 doors, and you have 100 people there, and will feed 400 people. That's 100 people off your back right away. Now, you see the STEP program, people? I like what they're doing, but it can be more efficient. You take those guys and you put them to help the farmers. So you get something in return, you know, and they themselves will learn something. When I left St. Lucia, I told you, when I went to Puerto Rico, I learned about shipping. You're never too old to learn, okay? So you need to do these things here. And when people see this thing, success breeds success. You do those things here and everything starts to multiply. Everybody gets, all of a sudden they get a lift. We can't let the year 2013 go on as it is. You can't allow that.
We have another call. Good evening. Please go ahead.
Hello, good evening, Clinton.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Mr. Chastanet said about shifting the from Castries Port to Cul-de-sac, which is a brilliant idea. And the other thing I want to say, I've been to Soufrière on numerous occasions concerning the port. Wouldn't it be in a better way if they could develop the port or some kind of investment so that the cruise ship or other yachts and things coming in, like a little marina or some kind of thing to hold all of the tourists in the town?
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
I read you loud and clear. Yeah, again, as I discussed with Clinton a while ago, there are two areas in St. Lucia that we can get people in. I'm sure I can get people to come and do it. We need to sheet pile from the banana shed right down to La Toc. That dirty area down there that holds all things, backfill that so you don't get all that slime going inside there. And then we can put 2 cruise ships berths over by the Coast Guard. We can put 1 cruise ship berth, put up another point surfing, and you have another 40, 50 shops that you can do. And then the nice thing about the Hospital Road, when the cruise ships come there, the vans can just shoot off on the Million Highway. It doesn't block the town, and you can move, you know. So really, and I have to insist, and I hope the government is listening tonight, let's break that damn fire station down. This is nonsense to have that there.
Now, you raised a point there about shooting off Millennium Highway, and every Wednesday, it's
Correct, the
an
traffic.
inconvenience.
Correct.
I mean, can anything be done about that? I mean, yes, we need the tourism, and we all see that, but then it is so inconvenient when you have that pedestrian crossing on Jeremy Street in front of La Place Carénage, and vehicles, traffic backed up for miles.
Clinton, I've said for years again, what we need to do, not only on the cruise ship days, but every morning between 6 and 9 o'clock, we should have all the traffic coming from north, everything going to Castries, go down the other way, which is go down on the Calvary Road, clear the Calvary completely and let them go down that way. And those who are going to the airport can go to the roundabout, okay? Because you can go down the Calvary and the Darling and let the traffic go there, only for the 2 hours, okay? I'm telling you something, it will work. Because it's every time, watch where the traffic backs up. It's at the roundabouts and at the corners, you know? And you have that thing clear down there just for 2 to 3 hours. Especially on the cruise ship day. Look at the man hours that we lose in.
Right, exactly.
It is crazy. I never pass at all. It's years I haven't driven down that highway to go to Castries. I just go down the Calvary and I go down the Darling. I'm in town in 2 minutes. Okay, and you know, but these are things, you know, that you have intelligent police officers, you have traffic people who know their job. The government needs to sit with those guys, and these are the areas we had to focus on because people are frustrated. They are frustrated. Now, also, only yesterday I did a tour of the harbor with a crew of television people. You take, for instance, you know, where we call VG or Ganter's Bay. That's a beautiful area. From the time Point Seraphin was built, when the current comes up and the swells come, everything in there gets damaged. You put some nice big boulders 3/4 way across, just leave a small entrance to the place, and that should be a lovely little marina there with a nice little a mini market and people sitting and yachts going down there, and that could be fantastic. You know, it's really beautiful inside there. You know, and you know these things are just left there like that for 25, 30. They're in worse condition now than they were 50 years ago. Yeah.
We have another call. Good evening. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Clinton Reynolds. How are you doing?
Very good, sir.
Yeah, as well as Mr. Chastney. Mr. Chastney, how are you doing?
I'm good, my brother.
All right. What I'd like to say is that, Mr. Chastney, you mentioned about the STEP program. To be honest with you, it's a good thing in terms of beautification, cleaning, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a problem, Mr. Chastney, which you may have noticed. The people who are supervising the job, you know, they need to know how to cut trees. You cannot cut a tree and live in like a pitched beef. You understand, Mr. Chastney?
You're quite correct.
Because I used to do that. I live in Australia, and I used to do that. The Australians do that a lot. You cannot cut trees anyhow and leave it like a stump where people can tramp over it and enjoy it yourself.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay, take it easy.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we'll take a quick break on Newsmaker Live. When we come back, we'll continue taking your calls and our discussion with Mr. Michael Chastney. Don't go away, stay with us.